Well, that's a very good question, and I'll also tie up with what Reverend Steve had talked about. Systems are very, very important in a business, because remember, when you are an individual entrepreneur, you are almost everything. And a lot of small businesses, they survive on the fact that you as a business owner must be present there. Now, that is good for a business when it's starting. However, with time, it becomes a constraint also, because it means you cannot expand, because you cannot be everywhere at the same time. And that brings us to exactly what you're asking about, systems. So you have to have what we call control systems. Come to the issue of people stealing from you, the pilferage issue. You need to have systems of inventory control, whereby you are able to monitor your inventory clearly through a system. I have a friend of mine who, once I visited him, he was in the hardware business. He's one of the richest men that time in Nairobi, running hardwares. And he had reached a place whereby his first hardware had become such a big bother, because what was happening is that, from his own words, people were stealing from him. They were stealing the tumas, they were stealing the paints, they were stealing everything. And the business was not profitable. He told me at some stage they could even steal from him when he was still there watching. You are laughing with a customer, but the customer is already organized with someone, and they are just loading, instead of loading 10 Y10, they are loading 15 Y10. You have no way of counting, because you are also being distracted left, right, center. So he came up with a system of inventory control. So basically he got a software, and this software is a software whereby he is able to monitor his stock, he keys in his stock, and on a daily basis, if you sell the stock, of course it will subtract and you have the balance. And at the end of the day, he created a system whereby he gave responsibility to people in various departments. If you are in charge of the metal area or paint area, that is your area, the area you take care of. So at the end of the day, you do a stock take. And if it does not match what the system says, you pay. People like in the service business, what they do is that they put CCTVs. Such that somebody still at his house, he's able to see what you're doing. I've even seen CCTVs in matatus. I was very surprised. A guy is able, because that's also another area in the service industry. Yeah. Somebody will tell you, as you're saying, I only done 10 shillings today because the police took, I don't know, 2,000. I don't know, went to the garage, did this. I don't know what happened. So the person has put a CCTV. So at any one given time, he can actually look and see what his matatu is doing. Right. I've seen the same CCTVs in service businesses like salons, for example. So somebody has got an insight into what a business is doing. Issues like what Bishop was saying, whereby some people, the guy he was talking about who is selling in a butchery, selling soup, and the soup is being added water, and you're trying to count the number of cups. That might not really help that much. Yeah. So you also need to also have people who are reliable, people who are trustworthy, people of integrity, and those are some of the things that you can look at.
So I think also in the area of employees, it is okay to be comfortable firing someone immediately if you find a mistake. Because I have a lady who started a pharmacy, and she was there in the pharmacy, and the chemist, and the suppliers were colluding with the employees, so that if they're bringing Panadol, they're supplying Panadol. When they sell the Panadol that is in the chemist, they would now purchase another Panadol and replace it in the store. Wow. So that when the owner looks at the stock, nothing has moved. Okay. Wow. And then when it's sold, they replace with another one. So in other words, they are running their own business inside your business. Yes. Wow. And I'm asking, how do you now, when you find out that that is happening, you have the guts to fire someone and hire the right person? Because the employees will build you or break you.
So don't keep the wrong people.
Don't keep the wrong people.
Because they'll bring you down. Yeah. And I think here we are talking about the issue of integrity as a barrier to business growth. Because again, if you have people that have no integrity, they are your staff, they're your employees, you can't go anywhere. They'll be bringing you down. And I think this is something we need to encourage people to really stop. Because somebody has given you a job, they're paying you a salary, you know, and it doesn't matter. When it comes to integrity, you may think it's, you know, whoever, maybe your friend or somebody you're with in church, or even your brother, your relative, it doesn't matter. They are people, especially when you trust them, they prove that they cannot be trusted. Again, we say you should supervise what people are doing. You trust, but also you verify. And I think that's why the systems that you're talking about comes in, where you need to have proper systems to know what comes in, what goes out, what has been sold. And even if, you know, somebody is wondering, my business is a small one in the market or a kiosk, what kind of, I can't have CCTV, I can't have, you know, operating system, I don't even have a computer. You know, what would you encourage that kind of a person to do?
Well, everybody has to start from somewhere. And if you don't have all that, then remember you are the person who is in that business. Because if you cannot be able to get a CCTV, you cannot be able to get a software system, you can be able to run a simple just Excel worksheet.
Okay.
I've seen people run with the Excel worksheet. Like I personally, I manage my finances using a simple Excel worksheet. By actually monitor my expenses and I know what is happening. So you can actually open a simple Excel worksheet and that would really help you. Another area I would want to add to that is to encourage people that when you realize that your employees are stealing from you, you can hinder that by giving them KPIs, key performance indicators, in short, targets.
Targets, yeah.
I've seen people even in the salon business giving the salonist targets. That is the expectation that you have, that on a weekly basis or a daily basis, I expect you to bring in, let's say, 500 shillings. You see? So that is an expectation from the business owner. And it has to be a realistic expectation, what we call smart targets, whereby you are saying, you as a person cutting hair here, I've been in this business. I know that on a daily basis, I'm supposed to collect 500. You see? So you give him as a target.
Yeah.
And you start evaluating him against that target. What that will do is that it will state, first of all, your expectation. Two, it will make somebody try and keep up with that expected target. Will even make that person even try to attract customers. Yeah. You'll even find the kinyozi outside trying to call people to come in.
Yeah.
But if there are no targets, he will cut 5 people's hair, he tells you it's 1. And because you are so friendly and have no systems, and you are a nice guy, Mr. Nice, he is actually running, as Steve said, a business within your business. And at the end of the month, you'll still pay him. So putting targets on your employees is very important, realistic targets. Evaluating them against those targets, however small a business is very, very important. And if people are not performing, you actually call them for a small mukutano with HR and tell them this can't continue, and you stop them. Those are some of the systems you are talking about.
Yeah. So don't be the Mr. Nice.
Exactly.
There's a time you should know. And I think this is always, for employers, this is always a tricky part. When do you let somebody go? You know, I don't know what somebody may want to chip in that. When is the right time to let, like you said, you have somebody in thick and you're keeping them overly, you know, longer than they should. So when is the right time to tell somebody now go?
I had a different mindset. And if you're watching there, this is Faith to Dead TV, Transforming Africa. We're glad that you tuned in. To answer your question, Bishop, I changed my perspective, I think 2 years ago when I met a lady, and she told me that she had this painter who was a very good painter, and she knew that she bought 5 cans of paint. By the time she came back, she found only 3. She asked, where is 2? I know I bought 5, where is 2? And the guy said, no, I think you only brought 3.
She's the one who brought them.
She's the one who brought them. And she said, no, I know I bought 5. And so only to discover that when he said, now, you know, if you don't bring the 2, I'm going to fire you and I'm never going to give you work again. It's a big contract. And the guy said, oh, I'm sorry, and brought it back. Wow. And I asked her, why didn't you fire the guy? He said, 2, everybody steals. Everybody that I hire steals. Wow. So now this guy is a good painter, and we can only work with him. But what she said is that I put an element of, I know some of it will be stolen. So I work within those parameters, because everybody I've tried to hire, they have stolen from me. So when do you fire someone?
She's hiring the wrong people.
That's correct. Yeah. So when do you fire someone? My perspective is when you find that they've stolen the very first time. That's my perspective. But from that other perspective is that she asked me then, where will I get someone to paint my work? That's what she said. Where will I find someone? That's.
And do you agree with that?
Well, I would disagree in a way, not entirely. But of course, in business, things happen. Some of the challenges we have, because I'm trying to marry this with the scriptures. Jesus had Judas close to him.
He knew he was a thief.
He knew he was a thief. But
The purpose.
it didn't eliminate him immediately.
No.
If someone is not right, is mismanaging your finances, mismanaging your funds, tell them, you did this. Second time, did this. Third time, feel free to fire. And I believe, because when you say you are worried to fire this lady that you had, I really feel you. Because maybe you feel like if they leave, your company is going to collapse. No. I think we also have that sense of, holding so much onto someone. If they are not there, then we cannot succeed. I believe we can succeed with or without someone, as long as you have God, you have the faith. That is what I could say, Bishop.
Okay, that's a good perspective. Dr. Hungai, would you fire the person? Would you keep them?
HR practices will say that you need to give people warning letters on certain issues. However, on the issues of stealing, that's a gross misconduct. Actually, it's supposed to be a police case.
Yeah.
So in some companies I've seen whereby if you're caught stealing, they actually hold you with a guard there, tie you with a rope, they call the police.
Wow.
And the whole issue goes to the police. So it's a gross misconduct issue. And what I would say is that you shouldn't entertain thieves in a business, because they will really actually run you down completely. You can give warning letters to other issues like performance issues, lateness, etc. But when it comes to stealing, that's gross misconduct. That you should be able to if it's a serious issue, take the matter to the police. If it's not very serious, and you can discuss with the person and you settle it out of court, and the person is asked to resign, let him go and look for somebody else. We are talking about business growth. If you must grow as a business, then you must be able to entrust your business to people who are trustworthy, and people who have the same vision as you, and people who can take the business to the next level without stealing, without all these games. And that frees your time to expand. Because even if you started a business selling hardware, you might want to go and do a second hardware. Like the case I mentioned earlier. This friend of mine had one hardware, and he was almost closing it down. When he put systems and controls in place and started making people responsible, taking care of HR issues, firing people who are stealing, with the time he started to get the right people. And even the people now, when they come in, they also want to understand the culture of a business. They are told here, don't pray with this, don't pray. This is fire, you'll go home. That gets into their head, and they start to toe the line. Because of that, by the time he died, because it's late now, he had opened more than, I think, nine hardware shops.
Wow.
Some in Karen, some in Ruta, some in Kiserian, all over the place. Some in the Dagoretti market, and he was running them using those controls that he had. So when you have the right people, you are able to free your time and use that time to grow.
Wow. I think it's well said, and I think I agree with you. There are issues you give warning, but there are also issues you don't give warning. You can't find somebody, like let's say the government or the police find somebody has killed somebody. They say, we have warned you. If you kill another one, don't try killing another one. We will come for you. I mean, they also the levels. Somebody's stealing from you. And I think it almost sounds like a contradiction where we say, somebody is very good. Oh my goodness, they are helping me. They are managing my business in a very good way. They're helping me. And on the other hand, they are stealing from you. I think for me, that's not a good person. No matter how skillful they may look, actually you'd rather have somebody who is not so skillful, but they are honest, they are people of integrity, and you can trust them. Because again, if you realize you can't trust somebody, actually it gives you a lot of headache. It gives you a lot of, you cannot rest. Let's say you're even traveling, you're in Europe, you're in Asia, whatever, you're in China to buy more stock. Even when you're there, you're wondering, okay, I left him there, what is he doing? What is she up to? So it takes away even your peace of mind. And I think it's not worth calling you, with yourself. Yeah. You have no peace of mind. Correct. You're thinking somebody may be stealing from you. I think the best thing for me is just if you discover there's evidence you actually stole, it doesn't matter how much, because we always say in stealing, if somebody can steal a cup, it's only that they didn't have an opportunity to steal a phone. If they can steal a phone, they can steal even your car. I mean, because a thief is a thief, because they're only looking for opportunity. I think that's. I don't know any other obstacle maybe before we wind up that we are thinking about.
I think also for a small business, I think it's important to have training, so that if you hire someone, just because they are working in another business that is similar to yours, that business is not running the way you want to run your business. So I think it's important when you hire somebody in your business that you train them. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is. I think it's important that if you bring an employee to come and work, you tell them, this is how I want to run the business, and you take time to train them. I find that where I live in the US, that even if you work in McDonald's or in a Burger King or KFC, when they hire you, even if you had an experience working in the restaurant industry, you will still be trained on how they do business. So I think when you have a small business, it's important that when you bring someone on, that you train them, that this is how we run our business. These are the things we do, these are the things we don't do. So that person is well equipped, and when they come in, they know how to handle your business. And I think that training, that aspect of training is very important, because it's as if you're duplicating yourself. So that even when the business grows and you have multiple locations of the same business, you're able to run it all the same way. And I think that's how franchises are built. So I think it's important to put emphasis on training. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. Depending on the size of the business, you already know what you want. Train someone to understand exactly what you want. Because I think you can have people working for you and you're expecting them to perform at this level, but they don't know. Because they haven't been trained. So I think it's crucial to spend time. It's not wasting time when you're training someone.
Wow, that's important. That's a good aspect of thinking about training, that you may have people, yes, they have their papers, they have their training, they have their skills, but again, you want them to catch your culture, how you do business, your operations, and your systems. I think that training, it's very key. And thank you so much, all of you that have joined us. If you have any question or comments, you can send it to that number. And we are live on Faith Today TV and social media. And we'll be able to answer some of your questions as time allows. But I think training, maybe we can still continue with that. Maybe give us your comments on training.
Well, I really agree with what the panelists have said about training. Training is very, very important, and especially for business growth. If you can be able to have a way whereby you distinguish yourself and differentiate yourself by the service you offer, and that comes in from the training that you give your employee. For example, the McDonald's, you talked about the KFCs and the rest of them, which are franchises. You find if you go to one McDonald's or KFC or some of those big chains, you find the kind of service is almost the same. It doesn't happen by accident.
Uniformity.
There's uniformity. It is somebody sat down and said, this is the KFC way, for example, McDonald's way of doing business or servicing our customers. And bringing that closer home, look at an example, let's take, for example, a hair salon. If a hair salonist is making, let's say, a lady's hair, you'll find that even if it's, which is an example they call lines or whatever it is, the way one lady will do lines on the lady or braiding is not the same as the other one will do. And that's why you'll find a lady will come all the way from here, go to Kenyatta Market, leaves thousands of salons in between, or goes all the way to Kahawa Market, leaves hundreds of salons in between. Why? Not because they are not also braiding the hair, but there's one somewhere in Kenyatta Market or one somewhere in Kasarani, wherever that place is, who does it differently. And that's why it's important for your business, for it to grow. Create what are your service standards and train your employees on how to fulfill those service standards to your customers. Such that when a customer comes to your establishment, he knows what to expect, quality service. Then the employees you have employed, they know what is the expectation from the employer, from the business, and what the customer expects. And this happens because you have trained your people in a particular way, how to handle their customers, how to serve the customers, even if it's a product, how to prepare a product. I believe a burger in the US and a burger in Kenya will be roughly the same if it's the same establishment, you know? Yeah. So training is very, very important.
Wow. I think I agree with you. People need to train. So if you're going to run a business and I think we have a notion where people think the people who do those kind of trainings are people running multi-billion, businesses, talk of the Safaricom, talk of this bank, But how about somebody running a small business and you have two people, you're selling cups, tell them, go sell these cups, go sell these flowers and, bring me the cash, go sell these handbags. Maybe they are hawkers and you have 2-3 people you have given to go and sell. Or maybe you're a distributor, even in Gikomba or wherever, and you bring even food in Madigiti. You bring a truck load of cabbage or onions and all that. Those kind of businesses, is there any training that is needed?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to train your people because even in selling itself, and I love that area of selling, the way you approach a customer is totally different between one person to another. Okay. So a business which wants to grow, remember we want to grow a business, must come up with a way of how do you sell, how do you approach a customer, whether it is hawking, how do you stop somebody and tell him about your cup, we call it the sales pitch. When you are talking about this cup, what are you going to highlight? What features are you going to tell the customer? What are the benefits? Remember, a customer will not buy because of the features of the product. They'll buy because of the benefits the customer will get from this cup that you're selling to him. So how do you uncover those needs of your customer? So that then means that you have to train your employees, your salespeople, on how to bring about the benefits to the customer, to uncover the needs of the customer, and to tie that and show how my cup is actually able to meet the needs of my customer in a unique way and at a cost-friendly price.
So it's all about presentation.
Exactly.
So, because people, I'm a strong believer that people buy people before they buy the product. In other words, if I approach you when I'm selling a product, you might buy the product that you did not need, but because of the way I presented it, you feel that I must buy from this guy. Yes. That to me is more important, how you present. Ukienda kwa restaurant and a waiter will ask you, unataka nini? Most likely you walk out. Nimeshiba. But if someone comes and says, my name is so-and-so, what's your name? Now the conversation has begun.
They are smiling.
Okay, they are smiling. Yeah, okay. So if someone is frowning, they are looking like they are being forced to work. And that falls in the area of training. So that somebody is just brought from somewhere, they are put in a restaurant, and the next day they are serving. They don't even know how to deal with customers. So if they haven't been trained, they haven't been told that you have to smile, then they don't know that they are supposed to smile. They just think, my sister had a restaurant one time, and my late brother was the one who was working there. And, some customer comes and says, is there samosas? And my brother would tell the customer, even you can see there is no samosa. Can't you see? See, the problem is my brother wasn't trained. He was just a nice guy, but he was not trained. Yeah. So I think it's important to train people on how to do business in their businesses. So that's very important. Yeah.
So don't hire nice people, just train them. train them. You may have somebody who is very nice, but they don't know what they are doing. Yeah. So they can bring your business down, and that can be an obstacle. I realize our time is gone. What's your final comment?
About training?
Anything.
Yeah. Well, I believe training is key. It's what I handle for my company. And you realize I am a medical person by profession, but I'm handling training. So it means you may not have the papers for whatever you are doing, but as long as you have the training, you know what to do. You are effective wherever you are. So we work with a number of businesses. We train them on how to operate our app. It's called Digital Adverts Limited, how to approach clients, how to help them sell. It is very important. The fact that someone has a business, it does not mean that someone is good at his business. It doesn't mean that maybe he has captured the market already. When you are going into a new market, you have to know how it works, things like that, how to approach these people, how to relate with them. And so training is important. And I believe if you are an employee somewhere and you feel like you need a training or you need knowledge about something, feel free to ask your employer, feel free to approach them. Yes, it is not a weakness to ask for knowledge. It's not weakness to ask for information. So I believe training is a master key, and we need to really engage and evolve.
So information is key.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. Mungai, what's your final comment?
Well, I just want to thank the viewer for tuning in and just assure him that we are here to address his business needs and also to share some of our experiences. We've talked today on human capital, employees. We've talked about cash flow, which is king. And there are many challenges that a business will face and many obstacles. And we believe that as we continue to share with you, we'll touch more of those in coming episodes. Thank you.
Reverend Steve.
Well, my final thoughts is if you're in business, don't be discouraged. There are seasons in business, just like anything else. There are seasons when the business is doing very well. There are seasons when it's not doing well. In those moments when it's not doing very well, that should be the moments to generate or build yourself up so that when you're doing well, then you're able to handle the business better. I do hope that you succeed in your business, and we hope that the thoughts that we shared with you today have been helpful. Tune in next time on Faith Today TV. We know that you'll be enriched. Tell a friend to tell another friend that we are always on, empowering people and transforming Africa one person at a time. God bless you.
Thank you. I think you've heard it all, and it's amazing. We've had a wonderful chat. I think we did finish. Probably even next week we could continue with looking at obstacles, challenges that people go through. We realize there are many, and there's a lot more we can talk about, more than the finances, the training, the staffing, and we can look at much more. But I want to say, business is good. God wants you to profit. He wants you to succeed. So when you're succeeding, there's nothing wrong you're doing. You're doing the right thing. And that's why we have this program, Kingdom Business Network, so that we can help you make a niche and succeed in the business that you're doing, because we believe your success is also our success. The Lord bless you, keep you, until we see you next. Thank you.